Okay, there we are. Got the stream all started. You can see the microphone. Adjust that a little. I guess it doesn't really matter that much. It's fine. You can come back in, Mike. Just want to make sure. Don't see that anyone has shown up yet, but I'm sure someone will. You can see Robert in the background there. That's him. He's very fluffy. He will probably be interrupting the stream at some point to be let out, because he does that. Well, I don't see that anyone's joined yet, but hopefully someone will soon. I'm going to go ahead and get started because I'm very excited about this game, and I hope you are too. Oh, there's Claire. Hi, Claire. Robert should interrupt the stream. I do like it when he does that. He's so cute. He's so fluffy. He's such a fluffy boy. Also, hi, Claire. That's true. That's true. Cats can interrupt whatever they want. They're cats. I turned down the sound a little on my end because it seemed a little too loud on previous weeks, but now it seems like it's too quiet. Does it make a difference on your end? I don't actually know how streaming software works, how that capture works. I think I'll turn it back up just a little. Okay. So last time we got Agulite and Gurmatron. And did I get quick? Yeah, I did. Okay. Shield. And that allowed us to complete Irving's flying Chateau. His Chateau now flies, which looks extremely cool but doesn't actually do that much gameplay-wise. Just very silly. Oh, we got some skill points here we can use on some useful stuff. I like Restore HP, the ability that makes it so that as the battle goes on, characters replenish their HP when they fill up their FP gauge. That's very useful. Cuts back on having to take time to heal. Yeah, we're flying! And this location looks like it's going to be important later. I like that at this point you get to see the entire map even if you can't necessarily go everywhere yet. Get to see a lot of locations that we will only have access to later. Like the Urartu Mountains here. Anyway, let's go where we're actually supposed to go. I'm getting a phone call. Hidden in a forest with a guardian worshipping desk. It's actually pretty easy to find. It's just right at the end. I like going here because you can't go here later. Into this little corner. Although actually I think technically you can. You know, I don't think there were any dogs in this version of Baskar. I mean, every Wild Arms game has the Baskars. Beautiful song, though. Right, and we got Tim. Because he's got the power to contact the Guardians. And here's where you get to play as Tim for the first time. So, Tim has the ability to become what's called a pillar. I'm still not sure exactly why that term specifically was chosen. For this, basically someone who has the ability to commune with the Guardians. Hey, we're gonna run around as Tim. Oh, hey, Fenny's here. Hi, Fenny. Thanks for joining my stream. I'm sure you remember me talking about Wild Arms back in the day. And yes, Lilka is very cute. She's an inspiration to me. Hard gear. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's my favorite game. Always has been, always will be. Who is this boy? He's a stranger. I've never seen a boy my own age before. I don't know, maybe say hi? That would be the normal thing to do. They say first impressions are... Yeah, that's true. Some games are completely life-changing like that. She thinks so fast you don't get to see it all unless you pause like this. Important. I don't know. How can I be so nervous? Thank you. My name is Tim. What's your name? See? Well, you were busy worrying, but to say he said something first, just be a bit braver. I do love Colette. I also find it interesting that even though, like, we play as Tim is a party member, he'll be in the combat and all that stuff. These scenes are from Colette's perspective. With me, that would probably be a record, like, ran through my mind like this. Yeah, I've seen you post about that on Blue Sky, yeah. I haven't played that one myself, but it does look cute. Nice to meet you. Yeah. They become a medium through which the Guardian's power materializes. Possessing the nature and ability of the pillar is necessary to bring this about. Tim is not yet a pillar. In order to fully realize his potential as a pillar, he must undergo the trial. But of course, there's always a trial. Injecting magical girls directly into my spine. Is there a reason why Tim must become a pillar immediately? The village dreamseer saw a dream. The dreamseer is an oracle. He sees the will of the guardians in the form of dreams. The vision he had was one of the sky being gnawed away. There's a running gag among YouTube video essayists of just making foreshadowing extremely obvious. My favorite of those was when H. Bobber Guy just started reading the Wikipedia article on foreshadowing. Foreshadowing is a literary device in which, the sky being gnawed away. This will come back later. We don't yet know if this was a good or an ill omen. It is interesting to think of, potentially the sky being gnawed away could be good. I'm having a hard time imagining what that would be like. Yeah. And of course, it's very similar to something that happened at the beginning of Wild Arms 1. We saw with the hole in the sky. A very arresting image that happens multiple times through the Wild Arms series. Oh, I missed it, but the previous line had the word behoove in it, which is a very fun word. There was a point in my life where my mom went through a phase where she used that word a lot. And it was very funny to me when Wild Arms used it as well. It behooves us to do X and such. The danger might be so great that our only salvation would be the power of the Guardians. Toho making Madoka. Magic Echo is also Madoka. You like magical girls, don't you, Fetty? Or Animorphs. I should probably read Animorphs. I've heard it's good. Believe it or not, I never read Animorphs. Sonic 3 and Knuckles and World of Illusion probably set up almost my entire thesis. Those have great music. If I couldn't be a magical girl, I would. Yeah, luckily you can. So Tim must undergo the trial. I'll just say right to her face she's not going to be as good at this as he is. Tim wants to stay in Baskar. I love video game music in general. I don't remember the details of those games, but I know I have played them. And yeah, I do remember them having good music. Alright, let's save really quick. Where's the save lady around here? Oh, there she is. Save lady, hi save lady. The duty of showing you the way of the trial arena. The entrance is hidden in the middle of the forest south of the village. There is no identifying mark except for the gigantic boulder that's literally right next to it. Final Fantasy VIII. Okay. We're not actually going to go in. Not right away. So, Tim is an unusual character from a gameplay perspective. Oh hey, there's my dad. Hi, Dad. Just hanging out with Claire and Finny. Okay, let's give Tim War Gold. So as I was saying, Tim is sort of an unusual... Oh hey, Nick's here too. Alright, got a lot of people here. Cleric? Yeah, in effect, he's pretty similar. He has a lot of magic similar to Lilka. He actually has a broader array of magical abilities than she does. His first aid ability can heal all allies at the same time without expending any FP. And it has a priority bonus, so it almost always goes first in a turn. Very useful. It does heal less health, but still a decent amount. But the reason that we are not going immediately into the dungeon is because Tim actually has to unlock abilities by defeating monsters with guardians equipped. So he starts with no abilities at all, but the potential to unlock all of these. So you can see the text is in gray. That means he doesn't have the ability yet. that rest number shows how many more monsters he has to defeat while a particular guardian is equipped in order to unlock that ability. So we're going to start by unlocking Red Butte, or Red Bout. I never know what that was supposed to be. Like, Butte as in short for beauty? It's a fire attack. Tim is also pretty weak. Similar to Esper equip system. Yeah, pretty similar. But only on that character, yeah. Though Final Fantasy VI characters usually have like a lot of stuff they can do already by that point. Tim starts with nothing. A fire attack where you cast a smoking hot babe at the enemy. Like Magic the Gathering's lava elemental. Yeah. There we go. Now we can see, hey, it's a fire attack. The basic level of fire attack looks exactly the same as Locust. Oh, I forgot to move him over to Yuck. Yeah. I've mentioned this in previous streams, but Wild Arms games are pretty influenced by Final Fantasy in general, and I think 6 in particular was a big influence on this game. The flying chateau that we just saw was always struck me as kind of like trying to one-up the Figaro Castle in Final Fantasy VI. We're also going to make sure we give Tim all of his force abilities. Not force abilities, personal skills. There we go, okay. So that should be good for now, I think. Yeah. It's not like a sandy desert, it's just a... Well, it looks like the Nevada desert. It was good for its time, you know, graphically. That's also true of this game, to be honest. This game's like 5 years later, and significantly more advanced graphically than Final Fantasy VI was, while still being pretty old-fashioned by modern standards. Here we go. Temple of the Guardians. Just because it's someone you really like doesn't mean you can be together all the time. Really good environment stylistically, even given the hardware. Yeah, I think so. I really love this game. But you all know that. Even if it's really hard, you'll just want to get through it okay. You're a guy, you should be more upbeat. I don't know what this test is, but think of it as something positive that gets you ahead. I love Lilka's attitude. If your energy level's up for it, you could do anything. That is a big if, though. It's almost like magic. Okay, I heard this dangerous place. Maybe I'll never see him again. God, she says it so fast. Is it alright for me to stand up? There's no excuse, really. Is there something I should be saying now? Doesn't that make them like, I've seen that in a book. I'm just not sure anymore. Wait. There's a field of flowers nearby. It's a beautiful field of flowers no one knows about. What am I talking about? I love how she pretty obviously, like, immediately has a crush on Tim. I'd like to go there. Here we go. Pooka! I love Pooka! Sub-spirit. You can get your soul to communicate with the sleeping old ruler guardians. Who are you? Oh, that's right. You all find it inconvenient when there's no clear name for an existent being. Right? Me too. It's Pooka. It's Pooka's Pooka. So I think this was another mistranslation. I should have screenshotted when I played this game in Japanese the last time. But I'm pretty sure this is... The original Japanese is Pooka no Pooka, which properly in context would be understood as Pooka the Pooka, meaning that it is both his name and species. I understand. Among the various sub-spirits, Pooka is special. The sense of self is weak. Can't explain it well. In other words, Pooka is Pooka, and at the same time, there's something else. Actually, I'll let Brad speak first before I add my own commentary. You understand? Here we go. I've heard of the sub-spirit Pooka. Because the sense of self is weak, by taking on other information matrices, one can copy other forms. That's it. That's exactly what I was trying to say. So, Pooka is a sub-spirit, as they call him, with a weak sense of self that can transform into essentially to instantiate the Guardians. It is interesting the idea that this ability is granted by the sense of self being weak. Like, having a weak connection to one's own self means that it's less stable, I guess. In my experience, I tend to lean more towards Community's perspective. Y'all ever watch Community? There's that episode of Community where they're trying to get Abed a girlfriend for some reason. I forget what it was, but Abed just goes along with it and starts acting very silly and complying with them in a very silly way. And obviously it doesn't actually get him a girlfriend or anything. But he doesn't seem bothered by any of it. And at the end, he says, something along the lines of, if you know who you are and you're confident with who you are, you can, pretending to be someone else isn't really a problem for you. He put it more eloquently than I am. It's the same episode that had that scene where he does his Don Draper impression to Annie, who, of course, the actress who played Annie was also on Mad Men, so it's a nice little actor tie-in, but also he's just being, like, way sexier than we're used to Abed being. Sorry, I'm getting off topic here. Point is, it is kind of interesting that the Wild Arms writers took the angle that Pooka can only copy other beings because its sense of self is weak. Whereas Abed he can copy others because his sense of self is strong. That, like, anchors him. Anchor, not anger. I tend to lean more towards that. I have taken a while to cultivate my own sense of self, and I really... yeah, Alison Brie was on Mad Men. And I feel much more like Abed now. Also, in that I lean towards the camera to make jokes. Hi. Dr. Foot, that sounds like legit psychoanalysis to me, the Abed. Abed is like... Abed is one of my favorite characters in fiction. And yeah, pretty much everyone who's watched Community is like, Abed is one of the best characters ever. Anyway, one of the other notes that I wanted to point out about Pooka is that there are some lines of dialogue, like it's Pooka the Pooka, that seem to be taking a specific grammatical tack of, like, not having him use the word I, which in Japanese there's no one single word for I, there's a lot of different ones, but some characters and real people will just refer to themselves in the third person, which I believe Pooka does for most of the game. Unfortunately, I don't think the translators picked up on this because, as you can see from what's currently on the screen, sometimes Pooka does say I. This is definitely something that I would change if I ever get around to publishing my personal translation. Because Pooka's arc is about getting a better sense of self and having the ability to say I to refer to oneself. When I had a weak sense of self, I was more inclined to imitate other people, just I was bad at it. Yeah, that might be true, actually. I mean, more generally. Obviously, it's true in your case, but, like, it might be true more generally, yeah. Yeah, and it's also worth noting in that Community episode, Abed it wasn't his idea to imitate other people. He was good at it, but it wasn't his idea because he didn't really need to. He was confident in who he was. And that's the arc that Pooka will be developing alongside Tim over the course of the game. Anyway, I've been talking a lot about Pooka. That one is none other than Pooka. See, there's another line that seems like it was designed to have him never say I. Pooka's role is to guide you under the Guardian's direction. Come with us, Tim. The Guardians want you before it's too late. More referring to himself in the third person here. Pooka's power is needed. Use square to call. For places you can't get to, Pooka can search it for you. Mechanically, aside from the ability to summon the Guardians, the main thing that Pooka does is very similar to Handpan in Wild Arms 1. It's a tool that can retrieve items from far away or activate switches. Last night I heard from the village chief that I'm a Zoa priest just like my mother. By defeating monsters, I'm able to extract power from the medium I'm equipped with. That was the entire explanation of his ability, by the way. Game's not very good at explaining this stuff, so... But I am! Because I know all this stuff. There we go. We can hit 2 switches at the same time. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Somewhere in here, there's a room off to the side that is easily missed. I'm trying to make sure I don't miss it. Da-da-da-da. Oh, just made it. So you can see Pooka's controls are more flexible than Handpan. Handpan just took off in one direction. Pooka can just like go over anywhere in that big square and activate something. Also, Pooka's adorable. We love Pooka. I do also kind of wonder about Pooka's pronouns. I usually see he, him for Pooka, but sometimes it. And I get the impression they didn't really think much about Pooka's gender in Japanese, because Japanese, of course, rarely uses third-person gendered pronouns. So it's not something that really comes up in writing. And characters are more likely to indicate their own communicate their own gender through their first-person pronouns, but again, I don't think Pooka uses any. It refers to itself in the third person, which is itself kind of gendered, because it's kind of feminine-coded, but mostly just sounds childish or eccentric. Yeah, more level of that's a good way of putting it, yeah. Is this the one with the room that's easy to miss? Yes, it is. Here it is. Okay. Little carrots. Oops. First boss. All the wills here on their crowns are gathering. So this is a plant monster, and we all know plant weakness. Just like in Pokemon. It's a grass type. Honestly, I don't even think Ashley's gonna get to access. We can just use fire attacks that do tons of damage. Stream dying again? Can y'all? Did it do that again? It did that last week too. I don't know what's causing it. Okay. Yeah. It's, you know what? It probably is. It's probably just an instability in my internet connection. Earlier this, or by now it's last month. Last month, our internet connection was going down so often that it was interfering with my ability to do my job. So, honestly, it's a lot more stable now than it was then, but it's still annoying that it drops anyway. So you can see me again? You can hear me again? Okay. Alright. What was it? I didn't even get an OBS notification that time. Was it just a couple seconds? It's probably just a couple seconds. Didn't properly have this hiccup. Okay. Maybe that's why I didn't get a notification about it. Yeah. There's gonna be a lot of bosses today, but momentary absence. Okay. Good. A lot of bosses today, but they're all easy. There we go. Super quick. How this fancy is this point? Kinda? Not really, no. They're all Yuri Princess Snowflake girls. That's true. That wasn't the Guardian. The old rulers of Filgaia, the first Guardians, had absolutely no power in the physical world. Not without manifesting through a sub-spirit anyway. It's probably just testing not only the pillar, but also the strength of the knights protecting it. I'm not going to try and sing that to Modern Major General, but I do assume that's what you intended with it. Alright. So, we're halfway through this dungeon. Save point. And this is the part where Tim's going to be on his own. He who is not fit to be the pillar shall not pass. The heir to the pillar will take the test alone. Pooka and I? Didn't I say it at the start? I said go together. Tim and Pooka must be together at all times. So I'm pretty sure, as a general rule, if you see Pooka refer to itself as Pooka, that's probably a literal translation from the Japanese, where the Japanese text also said Pooka in the third person. And then when Pooka says I, that's just a sentence that didn't have a subject in the original Japanese, and the translators just added I because they didn't think about the whole character with a weak sense of self probably should just avoid referring to or using first-person pronouns. Though that also legitimately contains a loss of information. Like, initially you think just there's different connotations and different things expressed, but there's not actually different information in referring to yourself in the first or third person. But that's not necessarily true. There is the concept of the essential indexical. This is something that I was introduced to in one of the philosophy courses I took in college. There's a particular professor who wrote about it. I forget, did I say professor? Particular philosopher who wrote about it. I forget who it was, but they gave the example of having been in a grocery store with... Rena uses her name as her personal pronoun, Majoreka. Yeah, it is a common thing for young women and girls especially, I think. The philosopher in a grocery store who spots a trail of like sugar, like someone has a bag of sugar in their cart and it's leaking, and so they go forward, they track the trail of sugar trying to find the person whose bag was leaking to tell them, only to realize at a certain point that it was their own bag that was leaking, at which point they stopped. And then had the idea, wait, if I had said professor's name had the leaking bag, that would not have explained why I stopped. It only makes sense to say I stopped because I realized that the leaking bag belonged to me, that the behavior of stopping makes sense. It's an instance where replacing a pronoun with a name actually loses information. It's an essential indexical. I don't know what else you're supposed to do with a minor in philosophy other than talk about it in a video game stream, so... I'm a dork, what can I say? But I can also say that that's part of the reason, because I've considered not using first-person pronouns for myself in the past, too. But, like, they do legitimately carry information. It's part of the reason that I haven't committed to doing that. Also, I worry I would be off-putting to people. Amy worries she would be off-putting to people. Is it off-putting? I don't know. Anyway, let's get back to the game. Wild Arms 2 seems like a good game to talk about philosophy over. I'm gonna screen cap that. Yeah, I'm going to be posting that later. You are correct, Claire. Extremely correct. Alright, so, second half of Tim's trial. We're going to use philosophy education for a game stream. This one makes sense. That's true. It does. Here's another one of those video game design tricks. Now you can't see that there's... but there still is. You can't see that there's retracting platforms because they're out of frame this time, but it's actually the same thing that was in the last room. I believe there's something over here first. There we go. That's good. And here we go. So now Tim has to take on this boss on his own. Don't worry, it's easy. You designated as heir, state guardian. Tim Rhymeless. You know what this game needs? More ninjas. There we go. Transforming ninja monster Johanna Neros. Release at once all the force you've saved up until level 2. The information matrix of the medium will let Pooka change into a powerful shape. The user's force and Pooka's ability to transform release together form a combine. First, take the guardians who have offensive powers like Grujev and equip them in the guard slot. Pooka and Tim can put in motion a combine. So TLDR, one magic attack is enough to knock these guys out from the combine ability. There's two of them, mind you. Incidentally, if you only defeat one of them, then the other will just replicate, so there's always going to be two on the screen. Which has the amusing side effect that if you defeat, you can just keep defeating them over and over and just rack up the experience points. It is apparently a legit strategy for Wild Arms 2 speedrunners that I've seen. They just put on auto battle and let Tim use magic attacks that are powerful enough to knock out one and do like half damage to the other, so like half of their max HP. And just do that over and over again and rack up a bunch of level ups with Tim. I won't be doing that because I'm not a speedrunner and I like playing the way I did when I was a kid, but it is funny to me. Anyway, now we're going to win with turtles, which is the best way to win, obviously. Oh, giant turtle! Turtle attack. There we go. And level up for 10. Powerful turtle indeed. I also love the translators just decided, okay, we're gonna stick in some these and thous. Thou art the heir. Only here, though. Pooka is excited. Everyone's so excited. Anyway, it's a joint effort which, using our force, allows Pooka. Oh shit, skipped over. This trick can be used only when Pooka's with us. So, in other words, Tim has to be in your front-facing party in order to be able to use this ability. But any of those 4 characters, Ashley, Brad, Loka, and Tim, can do it. It's a magic attack, so Tim and Loka are the only ones who are actually good at it, but Ashley and Brad technically can do it. And here's Tim and Colette with their adored crush. Childhood thing. Also, really beautiful song playing here. I used to be able to play it on the flute, I think. There was a time in high school when I had found the MIDIs for... Yeah. I found the MIDIs for a lot of the soundtrack to this game, and then I ran those MIDIs through a music processor software so that it could display it as sheet music, and then that's how I learned how to play a lot of this game's soundtrack on the flute. Yep. Ugh, spam bot. There we go. Ban the spam bot. But I haven't shown anyone yet. It's not true. Do you think so? That's why I wanted to show you the thing most important. Because flowers are their prettiest at that point. Okay, really touching, sweet scene. People finding each other. Content warning. It's gonna get pretty dark here. Nothing graphic visually, but the scene that we're about to see is kind of disturbing. For discussion of death and just callous indifference to human life, it's very disturbing. And yeah, it is a very, very deliberately jarring juxtaposition to what we just saw. Yeah. Yay, get reward for passing I survived the trial. I have the power to call the Guardians. I'm so excited I can't sleep. I'm gonna stop narrating this part. Yeah, Jesus right. Pretty disturbing stuff. Now, I do want to say, luckily, he's going to be okay. No one's going to hurt Tim. I appreciate Ashley as the conscience of this story, immediately expressing our outrage at what we've just seen. Irving, shut the fuck up. How will that solve it? Oh, we'll just kill a different child. Yeah, no. How about not doing that to anyone? Okay, before we go off on the tangent of this other section. Yeah, it's very. It does tie, despite how disturbing that scene was, and it was pretty disturbing. It ties in very effectively with a lot of the themes of the story, like essentially, this is an echo of what Ashley and Marina were talking about earlier, which Marina said if hero is just a euphemism for sacrifice, then I'm not happy about that at all. We don't want. It is wrong to sacrifice a few to save many. Essentially, this is the idea of the Le Guin, I believe it was Le Guin, the short story, The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas. The same basic idea. It is wrong to sacrifice a few for the benefit of the many. It is wrong to ask people to make that choice, let alone to force them to make it. For a number of different reasons, not the least of which is people are stronger when we protect each other. It's not a coincidence that the thing we saw immediately before that scene was Tim having probably the most meaningful and emotional connection with another human being that he's had since his mom died. That sense of connection is the most wonderful thing in existence. And that needs to be the center of any plan to save the world if you want to have a world worth saving. That's what I think. It's especially something to bear in mind if, for instance, you've got, I don't know, one faction that seems to be hell-bent on destroying everything, and another faction that responds to what the first faction does by throwing trans people under the bus a distraction. For instance, just hypothetically, if someone named Chuck Schumer were to have said or done something like that recently. This is all purely hypothetical and not something I saw in Blue Sky last week. Hypothetically speaking, of course. Game continues being relevant. It's also thematically very similar to, I don't know if y'all have seen the movie Godzilla Minus One, which is a Godzilla movie, came out I think last year or the year before. It's pretty recent. Essentially saying it is better to live to protect people than to die to protect people. That was the major theme of the movie, and is a major theme of this game. In fact, when Rachel and I watched that movie, I was like, oh man, this movie is so Wild Arms 2. Is that the one where Godzilla's a divorced dad? No. You're making a joke about Garfield Minus One, maybe? No, that's Garfield Minus Garfield. Never mind. I don't know what joke you're making. Garfield Minus Garfield was just an internet joke comic where they just took real Garfield strips and removed Garfield, so it's just John talking to himself and he's like super depressed. It's morbidly funny. But I don't know what joke you're making, Claire. Sorry. At any rate, now for something completely different. Oh, okay. I guess I was overthinking. Odessa did not actually attack while they were in the trial, but they're attacking now. You're ready for boss fights! Chateau's hull is made of a specially refined alloy called Dele Metallica. This is a sort of a mythology gag, because there was a level in Wild Arms 1 called Dele Metallica. It's towards the end of the game. I didn't get that far when I was streaming Wild Arms 1 earlier. But both that and this are named after an old book, De Lin, which I don't remember if the book was De Lay or De Ray, because, you know, in Japanese those would have been the same thing, and the translators probably didn't know their early modern mineralogy treatises. But, anyway, it's just a neat little callback. Maybe you should think about escaping. Take it off. Save really quick. Save lady isn't even normally here, but we're not going to get the opportunity to move around again after we walk through that door. So. There we go. Judecca and Antinora. So they're after Tim, because they want the power of the Guardians too. Judecca, of course, is basically the Joker, whereas Antinora seems to care so much about human life that it's weird that she's working for Odessa. Oh, they'll probably want to say, yeah, very polite of her. Just confuse them. Remember, just confuse them. Don't kill anybody unless you have to. Oh yeah, Tony and Scott are still here. Just hanging out. We're in this mess. In my humble opinion, I wish I had. So we've seen Antinora before. Here's our first fight with her. She is by far the best of the villains in this game. I should cosplay her. That'd be pretty hot, huh? I bet I could pull off that look. Right? Which means that all that nonsense with Ptolemea was a useless effort. She doesn't really like the people she works with, does she? So Antinora is a bit harder than the last couple bosses, but still not that hard. We're going to be trying to keep our FP levels high. Antinora likes to use attacks that induce negative status effects, and we don't have any really good way to restore them at this point. Tim is elsewhere in the Chateau at the moment. So our best bet is to try to keep the FP levels high enough that we can max them out. Because remember, if you hit 100 FP, it automatically cures all negative conditions. So we also do have to keep our health high. At the moment, I feel comfortable using a little bit of FP here. But we do, in general, want to keep it hot. Access. Ephemeron on Ashley. So that'll hopefully give him the FP. Yeah, it did, but it also put him to sleep. I was gonna say the FP to use Hot Fencer. And I didn't get Rise and Shine. Well, sleep doesn't usually last very long in this game. Yep, there we go. Okay. Lightsaber. Spencer and Red Butte should team up. That's in Disc 2. Sort of. Not exactly. There's a later attack that is a fire attack that Ashley will unlock. So it's kind of like that, but it's not really. Keep the FP gauge going. We'll probably finish her off this turn. Yep, there we go. Okay. Can't buy any more time. Meanwhile, elsewhere on the Chateau... Oh, not yet. Thought they cut immediate. Wait, you didn't. That was the first thing you said. Here we go. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the Chateau. Or Tim. Run. You can do that, right, Tim? Sometimes retreat is the correct move. No, for your arms. If you do what you really want to, I'm sure you'll find a way to succeed. At some point when I was talking about whether I wanted to stream Wild Arms or what, someone said something very similar to me. Sock it to him. Give the dude a hand for us. I love Tony, he's such a dork. I love all these characters. Tim is now a force to be reckoned with. Tim was always like this. From the beginning, Tim was a force to be reckoned with. If he weren't, he would have never been in Young Arms in the first place. I love like they're pretending it's still a real thing and not just them hanging out. Job. The blue dragon. Don't get uppity on me now. You're the sacrifice, remember? God, Judeka's such a piece of shit. I don't feel like games. Removing your ears wouldn't be too severe, I think. Resistance is futile. I always like to imagine that he's like trying to sound like the Borg there. Resistance is futile. Anyway, unfortunately I didn't actually unlock first aid, so healing is going to be a little annoying. Luckily, Judeka's not actually very strong. Let's use Tim's healing ability. The live one. I just said he didn't have first aid yet. My little pony. Live horn is an absolute lifesaver. Heals all party members, revives dead party members, and cures all negative conditions. For just 50 FP, provided the Tim is in your party. It's extremely useful. Let's go back to the turtle then. Turtle time. Hashtag turtle time. Yeah, Judeka seems even weaker than I remember. I guess part of that is probably the fact that Tim's got that skill that increases his stats over the course of the battle, so his stats are going up, but still, Tudeka's just like really weak here. He'd be doing something if his attacks were able to kick in with the status effect, because they can do that, but so far he hasn't done that. Yeah, they're all named after, like, I think, types of guns. There we go. Blast it on. There's a bomb. And yes, there is going to be immediately another boss fight. 5th one we've seen today. I told you there were a lot of boss fights. We might have time for a 6th. Yeah. Ashley even lampshading it. How dare you, one right after another. That's a Blastodon, which looks like it should be a magic card. Same point as the monsters on the warship. Here's another good example of the translators were clearly just handed a block of text rather than playing through the game, so they weren't seeing what we are seeing here. There's clearly only one monster, but this entire section is written in the plural. Like there's multiple monsters. There's another Blastodon off screen, I guess. Within the monsters' bodies. No, you're wrong. The monsters themselves are the bombs. Blastodon is a living bomb. If we beat them, they'll all go kaboom together. Thank you, Lilka. You sure come up with the craziest ideas. For all that talk, it's a pretty straightforward battle. Much like Regulus, Blastodon is weak to fire attacks, and so pretty easy to take down quickly with fire attacks. Evil Quasar. Ugh, now the status effects are kicking in. The best thing to do here is probably just build up Loka's FP enough that we can use Odessa. Now Ashley's the one who's paralyzed. Alright. Alright, I guess we'll hold on to that FP since now the paralysis is cured. That should do it for its pouches. Yep. Alright, we'll heal. Oh, here's a neat trick you can do right here. Have Tim use FP Shift the same turn that Ashley uses Access. That way Ashley will be able to start using Hot Fencer immediately. Sorry, I should explain. FP Shift is a force ability Tim has that costs 25 FP but gives 25 FP to each of the other party members. There we go. Let's use more golf here, shall we? I bet we'll beat him this turn. Vapor Blast. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, it's great music. I love the music of the Wild Arms games. Alright, so they're trying to launch this thing so it doesn't take the entire chateau with it. Broke free, so Ashley's going to try to keep it. Contained himself. I like this particular part because it implies that Ashley actually says the word access when transforming. Imagine that it must make you pretty tough if you can get launched out of a cannon like that and survive. So unlike you. Hey Ashley, you okay? I always imagined right here. you ever just like make up dialogue for characters just as a joke? I always like to imagine Loco saying, "How many fingers am I holding up?" while waving her arms frantically like that. And Ashley says, "I can't tell," and Loco goes, "Oh no, he's blind!" I do love Loco. I know I say that every week, but it's true! She's very important to me. Tim doesn't want to die, but he does want to help. That's why I want to fight. That's why I want to live, to fight. I'm not so weak as to want to die. At this point, the village chief is probably just imagining that Tim is going to one day get the courage to sacrifice his own life. But ultimately, no, Tim is right. It's better to live to protect people than to die to protect them. He will develop the courage to stand up there, although you can see he already has it to some extent now. And also this. Yeah, that's, Tim is his own grandson. Anyway. So, in keeping with the one thing after another thing, we're going to go straight into the next level here. We must resolve the various issues between nations. After the incident in Sylvaland, even stubborn Gil-galad left. So, going straight into this section where the leaders of these three nations are meeting. Odessa is going to attack, we're going to counterattack, and that'll be it for today, wrapping up that level. It's taken quite a bit of time to get as far as I have because I've been talking even more than usual, so I'm going to try to go through this chapter relatively quickly. Though there is some juicy dialogue here I love. Haven't you thought about what giving arms complete cross-border rights means? Here we can see again that borders are like a big deal for nationalists for some reason I don't understand. Aren't you mistaking good-naturedness for virtue? What steps do you intend to take? Each country must strengthen their armed forces. That's the only way. However strong the terrorists get, our ability to defend ourselves must be greater. Peace through superior strength. Looks directly at camera like Jim from The Office. I will say for a relatively minor character, the Gil-galad Master does undergo a fairly surprising amount of character growth over the course of the game. There are no arms aboard the Chateau, just arms itself. Fun little wordplay. Such thoughts will not make me forget the kingdom engulfed in salt. You follow in Slayheim's footsteps. We haven't seen a ton about Slayheim, but we'll get to know a little more about them later. That was a country that was destroyed in a civil war that ended in a nuclear attack. Brad is from there. And here's the attack. Oh, I missed a line from you. The Queen's just there on the off chance she might get to see Irving's lovely sister. Yeah. I do love that line. Alright. So, in keeping with today's tradition of launching things out of the Chateau with extreme intensity, we're going to do that again. things that include Ashley. There we go. Poor little. Just him and Ashley. Alright. This is what you call save? If you could complain like that, you must be okay. God, perfect. One is to silence the enemy's flying machine, and the other is for all you to safely escape. Alright. I think this chapter is just a little longer than I like. Because there's going to be a save point right here. And I often find myself saving and quitting right about here whenever I do playthroughs. Here's the save point. I do think we can breeze through this chapter pretty quickly, probably be done by like 6:15. There's not going to be a ton of chatter. Plus I have all the passwords memorized. I were surprised. Yep. I'm gonna try to unlock Tim's healing spell here. Brad looks like he was Jack Rakan? I don't know that character. I'll take your word for it. Okay. Turn the barrier off, turn the terminal on. Barrier off. Terminal on. Hey, Brad, come on. Forget, how did I do this? Honestly, I think the easiest way is probably just this. It is possible to rearrange them in such a way that it's a straight line. Oh no. So you can see they start recovering HP now. Pretty useful to have that personal skill. Sometimes there's even attacks where, like, you recover more health from the FP gain than you lost from being attacked. Which is pretty fun. There we go. Yeah, easier to just do the diagonal walking. Drop it. The confirm power code thing is what tells you the password, but I have all the passwords memorized. Really? Shit. It was 2306. Ugh, can't believe my knowledge of this game is faded over time. 2360. So close. Alright, you just gotta do that 2 more times in their boss fight, and then we're done for today. Here, you just gotta move all the blocks onto this thing so that they're so heavy that it falls down. There we go. So you're supposed to go back to get the power code, but hopefully it's as I remember it being. TV8180. Yeah, there we go, okay. And I think that barrier also controls the barrier in part 3. Or maybe this is the barrier. No, it's just the power code. Okay. I just know there were some times when I would go into part 3 couldn't go anywhere. That is definitely the one I kicked. Something, 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 What was that one glitch in Super Mario 64 that reminds me of? The one that was, number 8 in Pan and Coex's Invisible Walls video. Floor overshadowing. That's it, it's object overshadowing. Also, this is another entry in the vaunted series of whenever you can't figure out how to get through something, just have Brad kick it. Never fails. Ah, but now how do we reactivate it? Pooka, of course. Do the Pooka. And the power code. Ready? Yeah, I think we're about ready. Last boss fight for today. It's our second time fighting Ptolemaea. I remember Iron Saber being stronger than that. But most Wild Arms bosses aren't terribly hard. There's only a few in this game that are a genuine challenge. Actually, I don't need it. Hi, Robert. We gotta do the FP shift trick again. Always fun. I will say, in order for it to work, Ashley has to go before Tim, which he usually does, but the order can be reversed if you're changing stuff up, so be careful about that. Because in that case, Ashley would have gotten enough HP anyway from being attacked, but I didn't know that was going to happen. So. There we go. I don't think we need to use a single healing spell. And now we gotta land this thing. This was a repurposed Gullwing class flying machine from the Slayheim Liberation Army. From the Slayheim Civil War. Is there anyone in our party with experience working with Slayheim military technology? Brad, obviously. There we go. Go for it! Yeah. Those kids. After all, it takes a direct threat for people to get off of their fat butts to act. I don't like the way that this is worded, but the point is true. We have not had good relations with Guin. Worried that they lost. But they did provide us with their hovercraft. We have a hovercraft now. Haste not only makes waste, it can take years off of your life. So, next time we'll start by recovering data tablets from the crashed Varukisas. Using the hovercraft. I'll show you a neat little speedrunning trick you can do there that, unlike the other speedrunning tricks I've mentioned, I do actually now regularly do. And we'll get to see Lilka's hometown, which will be a lot of fun. But for today, I think we're about done. Let's go ahead and save. Right back where we started, but with a new ally. Alright. And that'll be it for today's stream. Thanks for joining me, everyone. And have a good night.